Welcome to Travel Tracker Routing. In this initial implementation video, I will walk you through a few of the tabs and where the settings are in Travel Tracker Routing. Now, at this point, you should have received a link to your Travel Tracker Routing portal, and you should have access to log into that portal. You may have to reset your password, but once that is done, you can take a look through your Travel Tracker Routing portal. There may not be any data in your portal just yet. We are likely in the process of obtaining and importing that information, but you are still more than welcome to browse around and familiarize yourself. I'm going to start with the tabs up at the top here. So we've got students, schools, vehicles, staff, stops, and routes. So right now I'm on the students tab, and this is where all of your student data will show once we have set up the nightly import from your student information system, whether that is PowerSchool, Infinite Campus, Skyward, or any other student information system that your district may use. Up at the top of each of these tabs, we will have drop-down menus so that you can filter information if you need. So on the Students tab, we've got Filters, which has a wide variety of different filters and different ways to narrow down students. You can filter students by school, by grade, or by vehicles. And then you've got your Operations tab, and this is where you will find different actions that you can take within Travel Tracker Routing. And then you have your Reports tab, and this is where all of the reports that you can pull are stored. So we've got Student Summary, Student Contact List, Detailed Bus Schedules Report, and then you'll see this line here in the middle of it. Underneath that line will be any custom reports that we have created for you. If you're interested in some custom reports, please speak with your implementation specialist and we'll see what we can get pulled together for you. Now on to the Schools tab. So this is where we will import your schools, and you can see their locations, their grades, and you can set their walk zone boundary if that is something that your district uses. Again, we do have some filter options. You can filter by the type of school, whether that's elementary, middle, or high. You've got your Operations tab again with some actions that you can take. And then we've got the Reports tab again. Moving on to the Vehicles tab. Again, this is all of your vehicles where you can set their capacity and even assign a driver to the vehicles. We've got our general filters, so active, inactive, wheelchair, currently being used and currently not being used. So these will apply once you have routes and once those routes are assigned a vehicle. The buses that are assigned to routes will be the ones in use, and the ones that are not assigned to routes or your sub buses will be under the not being used option. You can filter by designation, so whether that's activity, regular, or special needs. And this is something that if you want to set, your implementation specialist can walk you through how to set these designations up because they are customizable. We've got the user-defined fields, so you can filter vehicles by a user-defined field. Again, these fields are something that are customizable, so if you're interested in that, absolutely reach out to your implementation specialist. Again, we've got the Operations tab with actions that you can take. And again, we have the Reports tab. Moving on to the Staff tab, we're going to have a lot of similar options here. So again, we've got filters, we've got staff types. This is another customizable option, so you can set your staff types to whatever you need them to be, and that will get discussed later on when we talk about your staff and driver import. Again, we've got operations, and then we've got reports. Now on the Stops tab, we've got those filters again, so you can filter by general stops, school stops, transfer stops, private stops, and bus depots. You can look at stops inside and outside the school district. And then we've got several other ways that we can filter stops. So stops can be marked as highway, corner stops, safety stops, curbside or door side stops in some cases. And then you can also filter by stops who have students crossing the street, and stops with no students. So there are a lot of options on the Stops tab for filtering. Again, you can filter by vehicle or by school with these. So we've got our operations, which again gives us some action items that we can use on this tab. And then we've got the reports tab. Now, moving on to routes. This is probably one of the bread and butter tabs in the system. This is probably where you will spend most of your time. So by the end of implementation, you'll likely be very familiar with the routes tab. But to start us off, you've got the date here at the top. Now, whatever this date is in this top part is what date the system is going to default to. If we click on this and we change it and we go to a Saturday, you'll notice that my routes over to the left are going to change to say not available. That's because they aren't running on the weekends. So if you happen to be doing work on the weekend, do not freak out if you see this. All you have to do is change the date to a weekday and you'll be fine. And see, they are back to normal. But again, we've got filters, so we can filter by driver, by vehicle, by regions. If we have regions set up, you can filter by schools. You can filter by trip sessions, so AM trips or PM trips. You can filter by routes that have students in wheelchairs, and then any user-defined fields. And again, those user-defined fields are customizable, so if you're interested in that, please reach out to your implementation specialist so they can help you figure out the best options for you. You've got your Show Students tab, and this is great if you need to route students. This will show you any unrouted riders in the area, and you can actually route them from this tab if necessary, and we will discuss that later on in your training. And then again, we've got the Operations tab with some route action items that you can take and some map options as well. And then we've got the route report option, which is going to have your export routes, which this is going to be your main turn-by-turn directions report if you need that. Lastly, I want to show you the settings page. So if you want to access your settings or users in Travel Tracker Routing, you can go into this top right-hand corner and you'll see we have our general settings. So this is where you can go in and look at your school years and semesters. You can set a default walk zone boundary that will apply to all of your schools. And you can access the data sync that is coming in from your student information system. So with this download file last synced, you can actually download the file from your student information system. And then down here at the bottom, we have the email set up for if you want to send notifications through Travel Tracker Routing. And that is something your implementation specialist will discuss with you later on. In this top right-hand corner, we also have the users page, and this is where you can see all of the staff that you have added into your system. You can edit their access, their role, and even take away access if they leave your district. So that is where I want to leave you for now. As you continue through the implementation process, please do not hesitate to ask your implementation specialist any questions. This video is just a jumping off point to familiarize you with some of the main pages in Travel Tracker Routing.